your workplaces and try to achieve more better results. Click on the get data. Then this is not a Excel file, this is a CSV file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this text slash CSV. Then I'll go here in the data set. Then you'll see the first data that I have is the AirPassenger.csv. And now I'm clicking on the open. Once you do that, can you see we have two things only. So this is your AirPassenger.csv. This is a navigator for a CSV file. And here it's showing the content, the all complete content of the data. We have the data from 1949 and we have a lot of other samples also. It is just showing you the first few samples here. Now, since I think this is not, this is month. When I say this is month, but I don't think this is in a date format. I don't know. So I have to check it. Now, if you are not relying on your data, like whatever raw data that you're connecting with your Power BI file, so it's always better to analyze it in a Power Query editor. So instead of clicking on the load directly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the transform data. Okay, so the first step which I did over here is just connected, or you can say browsed through my AirPassenger.csv, and now the navigator is showing me the content and I'm clicking on the transform data. Now, once you click on the transform data here, this was fairly nicely prepared data set. So it is showing you in a date format already. The month is in a date format. And this is a passenger showing you it in a 1 to 3 format. That means it's a number. So what kind of data it is? It is a kind of a data wherein over the year, every month, how many passengers are traveling through airplane. So we have a data. Now, how many years of data we have in this? I think we have from 1949 till 1960, we have the data. So it's a pretty old data here, but we have a lot of years to analyze. Okay. And now what we have to do is we have to first draw a line chart just to see the timeline of your this total people, total passengers travel through airplane in that older age. And then after that, we are going to forecast it. Okay, so let's see first how this data is, how it is looking like in your normal line chart, because here we are not able to understand. You can see, yes, there are overgrowing values, but we will see the increment in the value and the decrement also in the value. So we are not able to analyze it right away by just looking into the numerical values. So first we need to have a line chart so that we can easily understand it. And then let's try to figure out what are the minimum things required to go ahead with the forecasting. So this is my simple data wherein we have only 2 columns. You might have in your data, you might have hundreds of columns, but the minimum requirement to achieve the forecasting is one column should be of the date format. It could be hourly data, means it should be a time stamping data set, hourly, monthly, yearly, date wise. The data could be in any form, but one column should have a time stamping, either the time and date both, or only the dates, no problem. Okay, but the formatting of the data should be in such a way that yes, there should be a sequence. For example, this is a monthly data, January, February, March, April till 12, and then again till 12 till 12. So that uniformity in the date format also has to be there. It's not like we only have January, February for 1949 and then March and April for 1950 and so on. So there is no uniformity. Then again, you will not be able to achieve the good results out of forecasting. The important thing is the one column should be of a date format, and that too should be uniform throughout. Means if we have a monthly data, so we have a monthly data for all the years. If we have yearly data, no problem, but the yearly data should be there for all the years. If we have quarterly data, then also no problem, but we should have a uniformity throughout the data. So that's one requirement. Second requirement is then you can plot your results with respect to the date format. That should be on the x-axis, and then the second should be the numerical value. It could be transactional information. It could be any information that is having a number. Okay, so here we have a total number of passengers traveled through airplane, but then again it's a number here. So it could be a number, currency, decimal values, but it should be something which needs to be monitored. So it should be in the form of number, not the alphanumeric, not the text, not the string. Okay, so that's the second requirement. So here both the requirements are getting fulfilled because we have only two columns. One is having a number and another one is having a date format. If by chance your this month is in a string form, then you have to convert it into a date format, because your Power BI engine will only be understand that yes, it's a date if you convert it into a date format, right? So here it is already in a date format, so there is no problem. But if it is not, I'll show you in the next data set, then you have to convert it. And I think you must know it. If you click on the left side, then you can convert, right? You can click on this date and then you can convert it into a date format. But right now it's already in a date format, so I'm not going to click over here. But if you don't have it and you already have a date data, but it's showing it in a string form, then you have to change the data, right? Okay. But right now there is no such requirement. So now, since I have analyzed my data over here, that my all the requirements are getting fulfilled and both the data is in proper format, only one thing needs to be amended. Here it is hash passengers. So this hash passengers, I'm not liking this name, so I'm just double clicking and then renaming it. I'm just removing this hash. That's it. So that's a little change I did, and now I'm going to close and apply this. But AirPassenger data is completely loaded in your this Power BI engine. Now, if you see this data, we have two columns. One is in the date format. The label you can see it over here, and this is number. That's why the summation sign is shown. If I go here in the data view, you'll see the data right away over here. And this is the advantage. We are able to see the proper data over here, like date, month, and the year. Now, so let me first show you the line chart. Let me click on the line chart because I want to see the complete timeline. So I would like to see it over here. How? Let me minimize this first. And this is your month. Now, I told you in the previous session also, this is for everyone because I know some few people are still a little confused on this. As I saw in the assignment visuals, this is the month, means it's a date format. So date format is not a single value, it's a complete hierarchy. So if you see over here, it is showing you the complete date hierarchy, wherein you have the day information, month information, quarter information, and year information. So once you have such kind of a hierarchy, then what you can do is, for example, if I drag and drop the whole month, that's my field name. If I drop it here in the x-axis, it is showing me the complete hierarchy over here. That all the information is shown. Now, let me drag the passenger in the y-axis. Now, can you see it is showing me the data like this? Why it is like this? It is showing me the data year-wise, summation of all the passengers yearly. This is for 1950, this is for 1951, this is for 1952, and so on. Okay? Now, and this over the top, we have so much information. So we will have a separate session from this. This is known as drill down. So drill down, we can drill down the data. But as of now, I'm not looking for drilling down my data here. Drilling down means, for example, if I come down to the next level of the hierarchy, it is showing me the data quarterly. Only 4 quarters, summation of everything. So here we don't have any such requirement. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you. This is the complete hierarchy. Now, let's say I don't want this hierarchy. I want my data to be printed as it is. When I say as it is, that means if I go back in my data view, I want to print it like this. This is the January data for 1949. Print this. February means 12 months for each year. 12 months for each year. 1951 also we started from January till December. Then for 1952 followed by this January till December, and then followed by 53 for 54, 55. I want to print it like this. This is important, please. So how we can achieve this thing? By default, whenever you have a date format, it will show you like this, and then we'll get confused how we should be able to see each and every value. So one option is we can click on this down arrow, and then can you see this option? This is not month. This why it is showing this name as month, because the name of my field is month. That's why. Whatever is the name of the field, it will show it like this. So that will signify the Power BI engine that I want to display each and every value. I'm not looking for your by default feature of the drilling down with respect to the hierarchy which you have in the date format by default. Like year is the top level hierarchy, and then we have the quarter, then we have the month, then we have the day. I'm not looking for this. I want to display each and every value. So I have to select this option. If you select this option, then this is your monthly data. Can you see this? This is January for 1959, April, May, June, July, complete. This is how I wanted to see my data. Okay, so pretty simple. Drag and drop the month on the x-axis, drag and drop the passenger on the y-axis, and then go on a down arrow of the date format name, and then select this option, not the date hierarchy. By default feature is the date hierarchy. Let me switch on the data labels, right? And let me have the marker also. This much is fine. So let me just look at it little older letters. Okay, now this is fine. Let me show you how we can enable the forecasting feature on this easy dataset. This chart, you'll be able to see one thing, that is the data here is ever growing. It's always on the upward movement. Okay, that's one thing which we can see right away. By just looking at this chart, we can see yes, there is always an up movement. But within that up movement, we can see there is a kind of a same pattern getting repeated. I don't know at what interval of time, but this pattern is getting repeated all the time. Now, what is this? So if you see, for example, let's see from here. This is November, December. That's your January. This is January 1954, and if I move here, this is December 1954. So from here to here, we have a fixed pattern. Now this same pattern is getting repeated every year. In 55 also you can see little bit of same pattern, even though the values are on the little higher side, but the pattern is same. For example, in your summers we have holidays, right? And people do frequently travel for the vacations. So you see always there's a peak on July and August. You see every time July and August, July and August. All the time you have the peak. And then for the rest of the year, we have little bit normal frequent travelers. So, but in the July and August, we have a very huge spike in the number of people traveling through airplane. So this is a little later, but it is showing you two things. One is your trend. When I say trend, so you can see right from here, we started from here, 112, and then we reach up to this 622. And every year it's ever growing. It's always on the upside. The trend is on the upside. So this is known as, if you have a visible trend in your data, it can be forecasted. Okay, so this is one requirement. The trend should be there. Not like your any stock price, right? You name, like for example, you take any bank or you take any enterprise, their pricing always gets sometime up, sometime low, sometime down. So it always depends on the lot of real-time constraints. So we don't have any such trends in that. Okay, for those analysis, we have a lot of other methods. But when we are talking about the forecasting, that is you can say available as a feature normally So we have the algorithm that is known as ARIMA model, and that ARIMA model, you will see it over here, how it is able to extract the information if we have these two things. One is trend, and second is seasonality. So second is seasonality. When I say seasonality, that means you will find a kind of a periodic repeat or periodic nature in your data. What is that periodic nature? That we have a fixed interval of time wherein you see the repetition. So if you see the repetition here, we have this is the pattern, and this pattern is getting repeated every year. So this visibly we can see, yes, there is a seasonality in the data. That's there is a kind of a repeated pattern. And what is the number of months where we have this seasonality? That is known as period of the seasonality. So after every 12 months, in our case, after every 12 months, the pattern is getting repeated. So we say the period of seasonality is 12 months. Okay. And that means we have a yearly seasonality in my data. For example, when you say people are purchasing cars, so car companies also have the seasonality. During the financial year end, we have a peak of selling of the cars because we have huge discounts at that time. So every business, every industry have their own different set of seasonality. Okay. So, but we need to identify the seasonality here. So after having a line chart, if you're able to see these two things visibly, no matter the trend is up only, it could be down, it could be constant, but there has to be a fixed uniform trend on the data. And then if you have a clearly visible seasonality, then yes, the forecasting of the data is possible. Okay, so these are the two things. One is trend, and second is the seasonality, which I just told you. Seasonality is the repetition of the samples after every fixed interval of time, and that fixed interval of time is known as the period of the seasonality. So that's a 12 months over here, and seasonality, like 12 months, period is 12 months, and trend is, in this case, the trend is up. Now to identify these two things, also we have the feature available in Power BI itself. So let me show you. So in whichever visual, if you want to achieve the higher level of analytics, so this comes in a higher level of analytics. So first you have to click on the visual. So right now we only have the single visual only, so it's already clicked, it's already selected. But if you have multiple visuals in your report, then you have to first click on that report where you want to enable the forecasting. So let me it's already clicked over here, means I have already selected this. So let me go here in visualization. Please everyone just see on my screen now for another 5 minutes. Till now what we have seen this, which is build visual, wherein we have a lot of other visuals, and then we can drag and drop the fields and then select it. And second option what we have seen is format your visual. So if you want to change the formatting of your visual, you want to change the coloring, you want to add the background, you want to add the titles, you want to do aesthetic wise, you want to do a lot of changes to make it more beautiful. So you have this format your visual. We have a lot of properties available. And the third thing that we have here is add the more analytics, add further analysis to your visuals. So if you want to extract some advanced features, or you want to add up those in your reports or in the visuals, then we can go here and add further analysis to your visuals. Okay, now let me click on it. As soon as I click on that, there are a lot of options available. Okay, now do I need to be an expert on understanding on these specific features which are available? Right now, you don't have to. Okay, I'm not going to use all of it. I'm going to show you a few things. For example, x-axis constant line. So you can select what kind of constant line you want to achieve. So constant line as in, like for example, this is my data. I want to display, for example, on the 200, I want to display a line. So this is y-axis. On, let's say, for example, 1954, I want to display a line so that I can specifically show it. Or I want to show minimum, or I want to show the maximum key, so that I can decide from here. Okay, so I'm not going to use this. Can you see this is the value? So whatever value that you will select, it will have that line over here. So x-axis constant line, y-axis constant line, no. By default, I can show it in the minimum and the maximum here. For example, I'm not choosing minimum and maximum for this whole data. Let's say I would like to show the average line. So let's use the more frequent, which everyone knows it, average line. Can you see this is the average line by default created? I just clicked on it. So this is your average line of the whole data. Let me have the min line, for example, this is your min line. So that's your minimum line. Okay. And let me have the max line. So let me click on the max line here. So we have the min line, we have the max line, and we have the average line here. I can put down the data label also. So it will show you the data label. Where it is showing here right here. Okay. And if I show you, that's the data label. Can you see this is showing you 622? So we have the max, we have the min. I added these two. Can you see 111 and all the three? And this is your average line. So let me switch on this also. So it is showing me this is my average, this is my maximum, this is my minimum here. So I just added these three lines. So if you have a very huge data and you really want to display the average. Okay, so right away by just switching it on, you can have the average value here right away. Now, but why we came over here? Not for the average, min, and max, because that we can visibly see it over here also. I came here for the forecasting. Can you see this forecast? So that's the feature we are going to enable, and then let's understand. Okay. So what I did is I just switch it on. As soon as you switch it on, what happens? You see there is some value shown over here in a different color. So this is what with the default features or default selection, there is a forecasted value displayed. So we have one fixed line and we have some shaded line here, right? So what is the last value? Last value is October, means from December 1960, or this is January 1961 till October 1961. So we have some data predicted or forecasted here for us, and this shaded region is known as upper bound and the lower bound. This is as per the confidence level, right? So this is lower bound. In this case, the lower bound is 602. The value will not go below 602, and the value will not go above 767. So it's a very huge upper and lower band, and the actual forecasted value displayed is 685. But right now, let's say my requirement is not this. I want to forecast 2 years. I want to forecast 1 year. I want to forecast not these years. I want to overlap value from the forecasted till the 1960, so that I can compare how the forecaster is working and what was the real data. So I want to do a lot of other things also. But by just switching it on, I cannot achieve that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on the down arrow here. So we have a lot of options. Okay, now let me show you. So the forecasting is on, and you see this is a unit points. Then this is forecasting length. Ignore the last, seasonality and confidence level. Okay. Now points means these points. This is points. Point. These are all points. Whatever which is drawn and displayed, that is points. Or you can select your own parameter. You want to do the forecasting month-wise, year-wise, day-wise, hour-wise, if you have that data. But in our case, or most of the cases, we will have these points only. So points means all the data labels which is printed. Now this is your forecasting length. You want to forecast another 10 points. Let's say if I do another 12 points and just simply do apply, you will have the data till December. Earlier it was till October, that is by default setting. And now we have a data till December. Okay. Now let's say I want to display 2 years data. So this is 24. So that's again a forecasting year. Okay. So quite easy, right? It's quite easy. I'm just selecting the value and clicking on the apply, and you see the forecasting is working at the back end. So forecaster is clearly giving me the grid values. But how will I be relying on those values? So for that matter, what we are going to do is we are going to use this ignore. This is very, very important. So what I'm going to do is, for example, the real data, the actual data that we have is till 1960 December. Please, everyone, just see. Yeah. I'm going to use the data for testing. So if you see here, we have the data till 1960. That's the actual data in my CSV file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this whole 1 year. Instead of using the data till 1960, I'm going to use the data till 1959 December. So 1960 data will not be used. Okay. So if I write the forecaster to forecast for 1 year, what it will do, for example, this is 1 year, and then I ignore 12 months. So what it is going to do is it is going to forecast me the whole 1960 year data, like January 1960 till December 1960. And that data actually I already have it. Okay. So this might be a little confusing, but try and understand. For my analysis purpose means I'm feeding my data to my algorithm is till 1959 because I've already ignored a 1 year data here. Ignored means don't process while understanding the pattern, means while understanding the trend and the seasonality, do not consider the last 12 points. Okay, so that will not be considered for the analysis. So in my technical word, this analysis means while doing the training of your data to understand the pattern and the seasonality so that it can start predicting or forecasting. So I'm ignoring 12 months. That means I'm not using 12 months for training. That's one thing. And then when you say apply and then you try to understand, so these 12 months will be displayed and this black will be overlapped on it. Let me show you. Okay. Why this applies on the here? Forecasted length 24. Let me show you this. Why is it like? Yeah. And let me say 12. Why this 12? 12 is not work. This should work. 30. Okay. Yes. Yes. Can you see this now? Let me over here. Yeah. Please see. If you see the black line is almost overlapped here. So the actual value was 622, correct? But the forecasted is 641. So there is a difference of 21 here, which is not much. And in this, the forecasted is 431 and the actual is 432. That means exactly overlapped almost. And here in this case, there's a difference of 2 only. Here in this case, the difference is of like almost 10. Here the difference is around 10. So can you see this? The forecast rate is almost overlapped the actual blue. Right? Now, can you see this confidence level? Let me show you. If you decrease the confidence level, 55. So you see here, as you decrease the confidence level, I think it is narrowed here, narrowed. If you increase the confidence level, let me increase the number of, this 99 is not working in this, 90%. So this becomes more broader. For example, this is 638 and the upper bound is 706. Let me show you 85, 80. This becomes 691 and 590. So if you decrease the confidence level, this is going to increase or decrease the shaded region. Means your confidence of the upper bound and the lower bound. Decreased confidence level means narrowing it, and increased confidence level making it more broader. Okay, so always that's why this all the options are not enabled. keep it in the range of 95 to 80, 85 to 80%, not go below that and not go beyond that. So always, most of the time we keep 95 only, but I think 95 is not working. So let's keep 90. So as per the data also, it gets enabled and disabled. And now I'm going to forecast for 24 months. Now what does this 24 months means? This means that 1 month I just used for the comparison, right? So this is the comparison. And on the basis of that, I can rely on this new data. Because in the comparison, almost it is overlapping. And that's why I can easily rely on this data which is generated from my forecaster. Okay. And now it's up to us. We can increase and decrease and change the color of this forecaster also, like this. And here this is showing you solid. We can have a dashed line also, and transparency also we can increase and decrease of the shaded region. That's up to us. And this is your shaded region here. I can have only the line also, so that this is showing just the line. Or always fill, always put it back here. So fill is fine. So this is how you can do little more settings of your forecaster. But now if I would really want to have that table with me, then how I can have it? So you have that option also to export this data. Can you see these three dots? If you click over here, can you see this option? Export the data. You click on it, and let's say, forecasted table air passengers. Okay, see this. Now this is forecasted value, confidence bound, high bound, and the lower bound. You see, it is not showing any value here. Why? Because this was the part of the training, and that's why it's not showing any value in this. And as soon as you come over here, see 1959, and then after that, this was 1959 December, January, we started seeing all the values here. And this we are comparing, and after that, this is the new data generated from here to here. So this is what important. Till this point, it is comparing it. For example, 431, we have 432 here, 390, 392 here, 508, 517, and these are all the new values. This is upper and the lower bound. So this is how you can just simply export the forecasted data and put it in your CSV file as well.